So often, most people go into their teacher's college program thinking they know exactly what they want to teach and where they want to teach. A lot of teachers go in and they sign up for teaching elementary, and a lot of teachers go in and sign up for teaching secondary school. But it's actually harder to choose than you might think. And I'm making this video for myself just as much as it is for you, and I'm going to share my thoughts on the pros and cons of teaching in elementary school. So starting off with our first pro, it is that you don't need to do much background research into the things that you're teaching. Often you're going to be teaching concepts that are very basic and surface level, that build the foundation for later knowledge that they're going to learn in secondary school. And it's all stuff that you see on a daily basis or do on a daily basis. And that actually brings me to my second pro. It's that you can give them sort of bigger assessments. You can give the students these big and fun assessments where they create things and they do things. In math, you can make them create games. In language, you can make them create posters and commercials. There's just so many cool things you can do. Now, my third pro for working in an elementary school is the fact that the class periods are shorter, right? You might be teaching 5 or 6 classes a day, but the classes are between 40 minutes an hour long. And with that time frame, students are very attentive and they're super engaged. It's not going on and on and on, and they don't really get bored, which honestly makes teaching a lot easier because you're not having to call kids back into the lesson if they get disengaged. And sort of on the topic of time and shorter work periods and whatnot, you're spending so much time with your students that you're getting to know them super, super well. You're getting to know their interests, what they want to do, all of their dreams. You're spending all day, every day with them. And that can honestly be really cool as a teacher. You get to develop some really special relationship with some students. Now, another thing that I really, really like about the elementary school program is that the curriculum, it's so relaxed. You have so much freedom to teach what you want to teach how you want to teach. You can do whatever assessments you want. And I find that so different from secondary school, where the curriculum is so restrictive. In the elementary schools, it's so much more broad and so much more exciting. So as a teacher, you have a lot more free reign of what you want to do. Now, another thing that I think is really, really special about working in the elementary school system is that you really get to know your administrators, your principals, your vice principals, your superintendents, and you get to develop this cool relationship with them that I honestly haven't seen in secondary schools. I might have seen my school principal twice or 3 times and my VPs a handful of times, and not because I didn't want to, but just because they were so busy and doing other things. But one of the nice things about getting to know the administrators is the fact that you have this cool mentorship opportunity available. You get to learn from the people who are doing the hiring. You're getting to learn from the people who are sort of building that family and that community within the school. What they're looking for, what they want to see, what they want you to do. And overall, the more feedback that you can get from super experienced educational professionals, you're just going to be in a better and better spot, especially when it comes to hiring. I think also one of the special pieces about this is the fact that your administrators are the ones who are going to be giving you references when you're applying to jobs. But with that said, I'm going to move on to one of my last pros. And honestly, it's probably the most obvious, but it does need to be said. You're going to be working with students, young students, and they appreciate their surroundings and the environment around them. They just want to get in, they want to have new experiences, they want to get their hands on to certain things. And also, I'll be honest, the innocence of some of these students can be quite sweet and almost endearing. You have students sometimes talking about things they have no clue about, but they're saying it like it's the best thing in the world, or sometimes they learn a new fact that you think everyone probably knows, and they're just beaming and smiling and super happy. And it can be a lot of fun as a teacher to teach those students. But as with the good, we do have to talk about the bad. So we are going to have to talk about some cons of teaching in the elementary school system. And the first one is that you're teaching so many classes. Often you're teaching 5 to 6 classes a day, which means you have a lot to prep for and you have a lot to do. And unfortunately, since you're teaching so much and spending the whole day with your students, you don't really get a prep period. Or even if you do get a prep period, it's like half an hour long. And it's not long enough to get much done outside of a little bit of marking. I personally find it very hard to make an assignment in half an hour, right? Or to make a slideshow in half an hour. And now think, if I have to do that for 5 classes or 6 classes every day, depending on the day, I'm often spending 4 hours, 5 hours of preparing. Now sometimes you have work periods and you have bigger assignments that stretch on for longer, so you get some time during class to do some little things. But often it can be difficult to prep. You're always busy. Now, along with the planning comes the point of making assessments. And in the elementary school system, making assessments can be relatively easy. The assessments aren't necessarily difficult themselves, but you always need to be making assessments. You need to be constantly finding new ways to assess students, where they are, what they're doing, how well they understand the topic. And on top of the assessment, you have to give them a lot of detailed feedback. And now my next con is a little bit of a minor point. Students can be very stubborn and very immature in the elementary school system, and I know that's just because of their age. But sometimes it can be a little stressful because if they don't want to do something, good luck trying to get them to do it. Once a student has the idea in their head that they don't like math or science, to get them to try to do and engage in math or science can be very, very difficult. But that's just a little bit of an aside. Now my next point, and this is sort of branching off the immaturity point, is that elementary students aren't very self-sufficient. You cannot give them a task and have them be able to completely do it beginning to end without them asking for help or without them running into trouble. And elementary students, and it's not that it's a problem, but they lack the experience, the perseverance, and the resiliency to really tackle problems and to troubleshoot problems on their own. They're always asking for help, and they always need your help to get through certain roadblocks. And that's not a problem, but sometimes it can be very stressful to be running around the classroom trying to help every student with a different problem that they have. And especially when you're giving open-ended projects or assessments, sometimes students run into problems because they plan something bigger than they thought. And you end up having to do a lot of hand-holding, which is okay in a way, but again, it can be a little bit stressful. So with that said, that's the end of this video, everyone. Now I am going to be releasing a pros and cons video on secondary school soon, so stay tuned for that, especially if you aren't sure what you want to teach. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And with that said, thank you to the new members who have joined this channel. Welcome, and we are glad to have you here. So as always, everyone, have a great day, stay happy, safe, and healthy, and I'll see you around. Bye!